Hello everyone, this is Manohar Reddy, Department of Cybersecurity, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I am going to discuss about the concept of implementation of layers for security protocols. Implementation of layers for security protocols. So, in the real-time communication system, there are different layers are presented to communicate to the systems or network, to the communication systems or network. So how the each and every layers are implemented with the help of some protocols, how the data is going to be communicated from the top layers to bottom layers or bottom layers to top layers. So for this we have to understand that OSI reference model. So OSI model, so it is a logical and conceptual model. So OSI model, Open System Interconnection, or you can say that International Standard Organization. So you can refer it as OSI or ISO reference model. So it is a logical and conceptual model that defines network communication used by the systems open to interconnection and communication with other systems. The systems are to be communicated with other systems in the open wide. So the open system interconnection OSI model also defines a logical network, and it effectively describes a computer packet transfer by using various layers of protocols. So from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers, there are 7 layers are presented. So each and every layer, how each and every layer is going to be communicated, and how the data is going to be transferred to the next layer. So that all will present with the help of some protocols. That is nothing but security protocols. So here the concept comes implementation of layers for security protocols. So there are different types of security protocols were presented to transfer the data from lower layer to higher layer, and use different types of data transmission techniques. So what are the layers actually presented in the OSI reference model, and what is the function that layer will exist? So these three are the application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, physical layer. So these are all the different types of network layers. So software layers, we can call it as these three are called as software layers or upper layers. These three are called as software layers or upper layers. So one is application layer, presentation layer, session layer. These three are the top layers of the network layers diagram as well as OSI reference model. Top layers of the OSI reference model. And this transport layer, this is the heart of OSI reference model. That means it act as a bridge layer, or it act as an intermediate layer between these hardware layers to the software layers, or lower layers to the upper layers. So how the data is to be transferred from lower layers to the higher layers, or hardware layers to the software layers. So this is the heart of OSI reference model. And this network layer and data link layer and physical layer, these three are the hardware layers or lower layers. So now you can understand how the data is to be transmitted from this layer to this layer, and what are the functions that existed in the each and every layer with the help of some protocols. So here what function will exist in the physical layer. So what is the function of physical layer actually? So the function of physical layer is what? To transmit a bits over a medium. The data transmitted through this physical layer is in the form of bits, and it provides a mechanical and electrical specifications. It provides a mechanical and electrical specifications. So mechanical and electrical specifications means it gives some signals. It gives some signals related to that Ethernet is connected or not, related to that network is connected or not. So that gives a mechanical and electrical specifications. And coaxial cable, fiber cable, wireless cables, or hubs, repeaters, these are all different types of network devices. These are all different types of network devices. So physical layer is responsible for transmit the data in the form of bits and provide mechanical and electrical specifications, and it uses some different types of network devices. So that is the function of physical layer. And data link layer. So after transmitted these bits into this data link layer, the bits are converted into the frames. And provide hope to hope delivery. That is nothing but hope to hope means one place to another place. That is one status to another status. So how it provides the delivery of the packets. And the network layer. So the moving of the packets from source to destination. And provide inter-networking mechanism. So provide inter-networking. Inter-networking is nothing but communicating all the layers. How all the layers are communicated. How all the layers are responsible to transfer the data. So that is nothing but inter-networking. Now the transport layer acting as a heart of OSI layer. So it provides a reliable process to process message delivery and error delivery. So each and every process, it shows that message delivery content as well as error delivery content. It provides a process to the process like message delivery and error delivery. So whenever you got the message to be delivered, it shows that message delivery successful. Whenever it got an error, it sends that error messages. So like the way transport layer having the functionality of delivering the messages as well as errors. And a session layer, so to establish and manage and terminate the sessions. Manage the sessions and terminate the sessions. So for this we are using API, that is nothing but application program interface, and sockets, those are nothing but networking connections, and Windows socket options. So these are all some different types of sessions management in the session layer. And the presentation layer, here the data, how the data is to be translated, how the data is to be encrypted, and how the data is to be compressed to the destination, compressed to deliver the destination. So translation, encryption, and compression, these are all the techniques that were presented in the presentation layer. And application layer, the main importance of application layer to access all the applications. Those are nothing but access to network resources. So whatever we are trying to access all the resources based on the network, that all are nothing but applications. We can say that all are nothing but applications. So application layer allows you to access all the different types of applications. So these are all the functionalities of each and every layer in the open system interconnection layers or OSI layers. Each and every layer having its own functionalities. So all these are the functionalities of each and every layer. So now we can see all the different types of protocols for each and every layer. So here the protocols supported at various levels. So for Example, we are moving from layer 1 to layer 7, layer 1 to layer 7, or lower level to higher levels, lower level to higher levels. So see here, this is the physical layer, which is the lowest layer of the OSI model to transmit bits over a medium, and it provides mechanical and electrical specifications by using the protocols like RS-232 and 100 base TX, ISDN, and 802.11 Ethernet. We can say different types of, we can say like all the different types of protocols. These are all the protocols that are being implemented for functioning this physical layer. And the data link layer. So in this data link layer, to organize bits into frames, and it provides hope to hope delivery. It provides hope to hope delivery. So for this, we are using different types of protocol, RAPA and TPP protocol, frame relay protocol, ATM protocol, fiber cables, etc. So these are all some different types of protocols that are using implemented for transferring of the data. And the network layer, it provides internetworking to move packets from source to destination using different IPv4 protocol, IPv6 protocol, ICMP protocol, IP secure protocol, IARP protocol, MPLS protocol. And next, a transport layer. It builds on the network layer to provide data transport from a process on source machine to process on a destination. So, process on source machine to process on destination machine. How it provide internetworking mechanism or data transmission mechanism with the help of these protocols. One is TCP protocol and the second one is UDP protocol. So, transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. And the session layer. So it establishes or manages or terminates the sessions after utilizing the layers. So here the protocols net bias protocol and SAP protocol. Net bias protocol and SAP protocol. And presentation layer. It provides the translation, encryption and compression of the data using different protocols like MPEG protocol, ASCH protocol, SSL protocol or translation layer security protocol, transport layer security, TLS protocol. And application layer, it allows access to the network's resources using the SMTP protocol, HTTP protocol, FTP protocol, post office protocol and SNMP protocol, simple network management protocol. So these are all the layers that are implemented for each and every layer that has to functioning to transfer the data, So all these protocols were presented behind this each and every layer that supports to functioning itself, The first three layers of OSI model are called the media layers. So that is first one physical layer, second one is data link layer, and third one is a network layer. So physical layer is used for defining the technical qualifications of the data connectivity. So it provides a definition that have been for the technical qualifications of the data connectivity. So what ways we are using to connect to the network. Since the security in this layer is critical. So in case of any cyber danger or attacks, it is recommended to unplug the cable from primary system. Primary system. So safeguarding this layer needs a biometric security or camera based surveillance or key cards and other physical monitoring. These are the safeguarding mechanisms that are implemented for this layer. And data link layer. So it comprises of data packets transported from physical layer. So any malfunctioning in this layer or data breach can impede the working of the network layer. So impede means interrupt the working of the network layer. So vulnerabilities that can be used and attacks that can be made in this layer are MAC address spoofing and virtual LAN circumvention. circumvention. So for protecting your system, we have used common security mechanisms are MAC address filtering, assessment of wireless applications, checking of proper data encryption standards, checking of proper data encryption standards. A network layer is the last of the medial layer, and it has an association with the real world. It has an association with the real world. It deals with the addressing and routing of packets. It deals with the addressing and routing of the packets. So how the packets are going to be addressed and how the packets are going to be routed. So the address, source address and destination address has to be identified in this layer. So IP address spoofing is one of the common attack in this phase. So IP address spoofing is one of the common attack in this phase. Strengthening this layer needs the techniques of firm anti-spoofing, proper implementation of firewalls and routing filters, and secure routing protocols. So implementing of firewalls and routing filters and source routing protocols is necessary to strengthening this layer to do not having these common attacks. Do not having these common attacks. The subsequent of 4 layers are host layers. The subsequence of 4 layers are host layers. First layer is transport layer. It comes under the logical layer. It comes under the logical layer, which helps in transferring variable length data sequence. Variable length data sequence. The reliability of this layer can be achieved by ensuring that segmentation and desegmentation. So segmentation and desegmentation mechanism and error control. So here the packets are being segmented. That is nothing but the all packets are compressed are divided each and every packet into segments form and desegmentation mechanism and error control. For security purpose, this layer needs an appropriate firewall. This layer needs to be appropriate firewall and restrictive admission of transmission protocols and appropriate port numbers. So assigning the port numbers, assigning the admission process and applying appropriate firewalls are the security purposes to do not having attacks on this layer. And session layer essentially manages the inter-system communication and the sessions. It essentially manages the inter-system communications and the sessions. The handling of local and remote applications interaction is done in this layer. So local and remote applications interactions are done in this layer. In case of weak authentication method, it can help attackers to perform brute force attacks. It can help attackers to perform brute force. So if it is a weak authentication method, there may be a chance to help attackers to perform a brute force methods. So the effective way of securing this layer is by ensuring appropriate encrypted key exchange. Ensuring appropriate encrypted key exchange along with the restriction of unsuccessful succession attempts using timing methods. So along with the restriction of unsuccessful session attempts using timing methods. And presentation layer, it is used to standardize the data with the help of various conversion schemes. That is nothing but compression or translation or encryption techniques we are using. So these are all conversion schemes. But if there is a poor conduct of malicious input, it can help cyber criminals exploit the system or even crash the system. So separate sanitized input. Sanitized input is nothing but we have to remove some characters if we not required. We have to remove the spaces or remove the special characters, those where we are not required to use them. So that is nothing but sanitized input, and the proper input validation can help protect the system from attackers. And application layer, it contains the user interface and the closest of all layers for the user end. So it contains the UI and the closest of all the layers for the user end. The widest range of cyber attacks and security breaches is possible in this layer only. The widest range of cyber attacks and security breaches is possible in this layer only. It can lead to shutdowning the network or stealing the data, crashing the application, manipulating the information sent from source to destination, and many more. Source to destination and many more. So all the different types of attacking process are happening in this layer only. So to make safe this layer, use some secure protocols such as HTTPS, TLS or SSL, and access control mechanisms on the applications from server side. So we have to implement these all the protocols and access control mechanisms to make application layer is to make the safe layer. Application layer to be safe layer. So these are all the different layers that are having an attack scenarios, as well as how to make the layers is to be safe by providing some security mechanisms or safe guard mechanisms. We are going to make each and every layer has to be safe. So why we need security at each and every layer of OSI model? So what is the purpose of providing security to each and every layer? So network demands security against attackers and hackers. So definitely network demands security against attackers and hackers. So protecting confidentiality, integrity, availability of data. So protecting confidentiality, integrity, availability of the data. Network security includes two basic securities. One is information security and the second one is computer security. So network security includes two basic things. One is information security and computer security, and requires firewall for protecting system or data from being attacked. So to maintain the protection of the systems and to maintain the data is to be safe from attackers, we are going to provide the security at each and every layer. So top network vulnerabilities are also we called as security threats. So privilege escalation, worms, viruses, Trojan horse, spywares, spams, botnet, logic bombs. These are all some top network vulnerabilities. And now each and every layer having some security mechanisms. So what are the security mechanisms? We can see here. So physical layer security. So this refers to the physical aspect of networking disrupting the service, primarily resulting in denial of service attacks. And network vulnerabilities are threats which occur at this level are following. So the network vulnerabilities, accessing control. So permitting only authorized personnel to access. So maintain the access control mechanism at physical layer, and damage data bits, environmental issues, disconnection of physical links, backup. So these are all the different network vulnerabilities or threats which occur at this physical layer or attacks. So here the access control permitting only authorized persons to access. So physical security keeping safe from unauthorized access, and restricting access to critical servers and using strong passwords can prevent many attacks. And second one is damage data bits, and third one is environmental issues. So that related to the physical layer includes fire or smoke or water that leads to the data loss. So less control over environmental factors such as temperature, humidity, dust and ventilation can cause frequent failures, and disconnection of physical links and backup. So these are all the ways we can restrict the attacks to do not having in this layer. And second one is data link layer security. So that is also called as switch security. So of this layer focus on the methods of delivering frames. So it is focusing on delivering the frames. Normally these consist of switches utilizing protocols such as the spanning tree protocol STP and the dynamic host configuration protocol DHCP. These switches provides LAN connectivity and majority of threads come from internal LAN. Majority of threads come from internal LAN. So here the first one is ARPs or ARP spoofing. ARPs or ARP spoofing. So it is targeted to the rogue switch, that is nothing but unauthorized switch. Rogue switch is nothing but unauthorized switch to forward packets to a different LANs or different VLAN. And security vulnerability occurs at the lower layer of OSI model but affects upper layer security. So it having a loophole to the lower layer security but it affects upper layer security also. So to prevent this attack, configuration is performed to ignore gratuitous of ARPs and edge VLAN segregation and ARP inspection to mitigate this threat also. And second one is MAC flooding. So it is the attack on network switch. It is one type of attack on network switch. It occurs when the MAC table of a switch reaches its capacity and then floods. So its maximum reaches to the switch capacity and it provides some floods. A malicious user can sniff the flooded traffic to gather network sensitive information. Cisco switches have a port options that prevent such flooding. So Cisco company switches having some portion of ports that contains some numbers that provides or prevents such flooding. So configuration of CLI as follows. So switch port security maximum 1, switch port security violation shutdown, switch port security MAC address sticky. So authentication with AAA server. So these are all some methods that are being implemented for the physical layer security. And spanning tree attacks. So it occurs when an attacker inserts itself into a data stream and causes a DOS attack. And the STP attack begins with a physical attack by a malicious user who inserts an unauthorized switch into the routers. So attacker assigns a lower root priority. So assigning the lower root priority causes the network connection between two switches to be dropped. So the two routers are going to be dropped to the network connections. The attacker's switch thereby becomes the root switch and the attacker gets full control to data transmitted between all switches. So one way of mitigating this problem is configuring a network's root switch with root priority is 0. So other data link attacks are private VLAN attacks, multicast brute force attacks, random frame stress attacks. These are all some different types of attacks that are being implemented in the physical layer, the data link layer. And next, layer 3, network security. That is nothing but router security. Network security or router security. So layer 3 is the network layer which utilizes multiple common protocols to perform routing on the network. Layer 3 protocol attacks consist of IP attacks or packet sniffing attacks or DOS attacks, that is ICMP attacks or ping of death. These types of attacks can be performed remotely. To reduce the risk of these types of attacks, packet filtering control should be used. So IP address spoofing, routing attacks, black hole or sensitive forwarding. These are all some types of attacking. And first one, IP address spoofing. So it is also known as IP address forgery or a host file hijack. And this can be mitigated by deploying packet filtering to detect inconsistencies. And second one is black hole. In this attack, malicious node pretends like normal load. So malicious node pretend like a normal load and forward packets but selectively drops some packets. So it sends the packets to the destination, selectively drops some packets. Malicious node acts like a black hole. It discards all the packets passing through it. And layer 4, transport layer security. So transport layer and utilizes common transport protocols to enable network communication. This layer includes TCP and UDP protocols, and port scanning is a method to identify vulnerable and open network ports. So port scanning is a method to identify vulnerabilities or open network ports. So first, synchronous flood is one attack. Smurf attack is one type of attack. So synchronous flood is also known as half open attack or TCP synchronous flood. It includes DDoS attack on server. Attack involves having a client repeatedly send synchronization packets to every port on a server using some rogue IP address in order to make it overconsumed and unresponsive. And exploit a TCP three-way handshake. Exploiting TCP three-way handshake. And second one is Smurf attacks. So it is one type of device attack is which a system is flooded with spoofed ping messages. It is a system which is flooded with spoofed ping messages. So attacker generates lots of ICMP packets with an intended victims. So IP address and broadcast those packets. As a result, most of devices is not a networking response. So most of the devices in network responded. And fifth one, session layer security. So some of the most common attack in this layer are session hijacking and man in the middle attack. Security attack on user session. A session hijacking attack works when it compromises the token by guessing what an authentication token session will be. Thus, acquiring this authorized access to the web server. And man in the middle attack. Common ways of session hijacking are packet sniffers and cross-site scripting. We can call it as XSS, cross-site scripting attacks. And layer 6, presentation layer security. So in this SSL hijacking, SSL stands for secure socket layer. So Superfish uses a process called SSL hijacking to get users encrypted data. When internet browser connects to the HTTP site, HTTP server redirects to the HTTP secure version. Is provide a certificate. This certificate provides an identification to the user to get in and access to the server. The connection is completed now. And last one, application layer security. So there are different types of attacks on application layer. Some of the important attacks: viruses, worms, phishing, keyloggers, backdoors, program logic flaws, bugs, and Trojan horses. These are all the different types of attacks that are being implemented in application layer. So all these are the layers that are having some issues or attacks, and what are the different types of safeguard mechanisms to having in the protocols. So once we revise all these topics which we discussed in this session, so here the implementation of the layers that are being implemented. So what is the OSI model? It is a logical conceptual model that defines the network communication used by the systems open to interconnection and communication with others. And the OSI model is also called as ISO. It defines logical networks, effectively describes computer packet transfer by using various layers of protocols. These are all the layers having each and every functionality of each and every layer. And each and every layer having its own protocols that are being implemented to do these functionalities. So each and every layer's attacks and safeguarding mechanisms. So physical layer, data link layer, network layer, safeguarding mechanisms, biometric securities, and MAC address filterings, and anti-spoofing mechanisms, and appropriate firewalls installations, encryption processes, and input validations that are nothing but sanitized input. So all these are the some safeguard mechanisms for the each and every layers. And what is the purpose to take the necessity of security each and every layer? For the network security demands security against attackers and hackers, and the protecting the confidentiality or integrity or availability of the data, and information security purpose, computer security purpose. And top network vulnerabilities are these. So privilege escalations, worms, viruses, trojans, spywares, spams, botnets, logic bombs. These are all different types of network vulnerabilities. And each and every layer having some attacks, access control attacks, damage database, environmental issues, disconnection, physical links, backups, and data link layer, ERP spoofing, MAC flooding, spanning tree attacks, private VLAN attacks, multicast brute force attacks, random frame stress attacks, and network security, IP address spoofing attacks, backhaul attacks, and transport layer security, synchronous flood attacks, Smurf attacks, session layer, session hijacking attacks, man in the middle attacks, SSL hijacking, and viruses, worms, phishing, keyloggers. These are all the different types of attacks that are having the issues in the each and every layer. So to do not having such type of attacks, we have to implement that all the security protocols for each and every layer. For each and every layer. So this is about the implementation layers of security protocols for making the safe of each and every network and the connections of the systems. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.